So I have been on a quest to get one of my kids to swim, and we have been doing swim lessons for what feels like five, like almost maybe 7 years. I don't know, but like so long. We did like toddler swimming with both of my boys. I haven't done it with my little girl, because third child. We did like mommy and me swimming. I did swim lessons. I tried swim lessons with my 6-year-old last year, in which he spent most of the lesson running around the outside of the pool and not swimming. And we have been doing swim lessons consistently with my 8-year-old for the past year. So we started going to a local YMCA, and we got his teacher to keep teaching him during the school year at the indoor pool, because I was like, in order to do this, we have to put in the time and we have to keep him, at least he's my oldest. So I was like, he has the best chance of like learning to swim first. um, so, we kept him swimming because I was like, okay, like, up until now, we've basically just been doing swimming during the summer. And that's not really long enough, because by the time the summer ends and they're getting better, it's time to go back to school, and then we don't swim anymore. So like, I need to get my son into the pool at least once a week all year long to just keep him swimming and keep him practicing. So all year we have been swimming. I mean, at the beginning of last year, he was like floundering in the water, because not you do when you're learning to swim, right? That's just the process of learning how to swim and learning how to float. His teacher is so sweet with him. But every week he was getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And all of a sudden, after a year of consistently putting him in the water once a week for just 30 minutes once a week, um, this week on Monday, they had swim lessons. So I've got all three of my kids in the swim lessons this summer. They had swim lessons. And my 8-year-old, like all of a sudden can swim. All of a sudden, meaning this has been building up for a year. And he is swimming under the water. He's using goggles, which like literally last week he wasn't doing. Like he was still kind of floundering around in the water last week. So I'm not sure what like mentally changed for him. Like in literally 1 week, but he's like jumping in, swimming into the water. We were able to swim in the pool in the shallow end on Monday, and he didn't need his like floaties one time. And I was just so amazed and so proud of his confidence in learning to swim and his resilience to keep going, even when swimming was hard for him at the beginning, even when it didn't seem like he was getting it. And even I was on the edge of the pool just praying, like, please teach him how to swim. Please get him to swim eventually. Please get one of my children to learn how to swim. Um, and there were weeks when, I felt like he was doing really well. And then other weeks when I felt like he was regressing a little bit, but he always kept moving forward, and he had that resilience to keep going even when it was tough. And I was so proud of him to see this big goal accomplished. And I realized this week, if I had never let him try, and if I had never let him struggle a little bit through the swimming with his teacher, we would never have seen him accomplish this big goal that he is now really proud of, and we're really proud of for him. So I want to tell you as a parent that there is goodness on the other side of the trials for our kids. And as hard as it is, we have to let our kids go through those trials and go through the hard stuff and walk with them in it, so that they can come out more confident and resilient on the other side. And that's what I'm sharing with you today, because I feel like so far, I mean, my kids are young. So far, we have raised very confident and really honestly pretty resilient kids. And that I am realizing more and more, being around parents, just any type of parent. So that's actually not the norm. But I want it to be the norm for you and your kids. I want you to have these tools and these tips to be able to build that confidence and resilience in your kids, because if you build that foundation now, they're going to be happier, better adjusted adults if they have confidence in themselves and they have the ability to work through hard things and trials. And especially with our kids with hearing loss, because they are going to come up on trials, right? They are going to have to problem solve a little bit by just the nature of having hearing loss and living in a world that is largely set up for regular hearing people. And you want them to build that ability now to get through those trials. So I'm going to share with you 3 things that I think my husband and I are doing really well to build that confidence and resilience. And we do this in all of our kids. So that is worth saying at the beginning is it's not just to our 2 deaf kids, it's also my other, my hearing little girl as well. So these are skills that we build in all 3 of them. So my first thing that I would like to share with you is that we let our kids try new things. So as long as our kids are being safe and it makes sense for them, I let them try the things that they want to try out. Okay. I never hold them back and say, no, don't do that unless it truly is like an unsafe or not a good idea at the time. And really, by trying out things, this is how kids discover new things that they like. And they also discover things that they are good at or not good at. And I really feel like oftentimes kids with hearing loss get put into this box of they can't do this or they can't do that. They can't play this sport because of their hearing loss. They can't enjoy music because they can't hear it. And I believe that most people fail to see the potential in these kids. But I know that my kids can do it. I know that my kids can hear the music. I know that my kids can learn to play an instrument if they want to. They can learn to dance if they want to. They can play sports if they want to. I know that they can. I believe that they can. And I transfer that belief to my kids when I let them try out new things. Even if I think they're not going to be good at it, I let them try anyway. Some examples are swimming. Put them in the pool. I let them go. They weren't good at it at the beginning. Now they're all doing really well. Climbing things that used to be hard for them. Now they're so good at it. Jumping off of high things used to scare me, but I am a boy mom with 2 boys, so I've gotten really used to it. But it's fine as long as it's not high enough that they're actually going to hurt themselves. They can do it. And you know what? They learn to jump off of things. Going to ASL camp at school, my 8-year-old has historically not ASL has not come as easy to him as with my 6-year-old, but I was like, we're going to try it. He's got to learn it to talk with his brother anyway. And he really came out of camp doing a really good job. So I let them try that. Basically, nothing is off limits for our kids unless it is truly dangerous or not in their best interest, which is our job as a parent to decide. So we let them try new stuff all the time, even if we think it's not going to be their thing. We let them try it because you don't know until you try. You don't know if you like something until you try. You don't know if you're good at it. You don't know if you care enough to want to be good at it if you don't try. So we let them try the things. And that really builds kids' confidence when you allow them to just try out different things and you're very neutral about it. And you're encouraging, it gives them the confidence to try other new things. And then that's how they find out, things that they like to do or things that they're good at. So the next thing that my husband and I do is we let our kids struggle through things a little bit, which is not something that I commonly see parents in my generation wanting to do with their kids. So I know this can be a sensitive topic for you because I know that parents, especially moms, have trouble and you don't want your kids to struggle through things and you want them to make it all better for you. Bye. But I am okay. And my husband is okay with letting our kids struggle through stuff a little bit. Because we want to make it okay for things to be hard for them and to not get the things right away. Right? Because that's not reality. The reality for anybody is that some things are hard for you and some things you don't learn right away. And the best things take time to learn and time to grow in. And so that is a reality that I want to go ahead and prepare my kids for now. And I believe we really do a big disservice to kids by fixing everything for them. It actually robs kids of the ability to think through a problem and develop their own problem-solving skills and develop their own imagination. Working through problems builds resilience. If you work through enough problems and you start getting used to some things being hard, you expect some things to be hard. And if you're resilient, you're able to keep working through them until you find an answer. Whereas kids who don't have as much resilience or adults who don't have as much resilience often stop. They're not good at something immediately, they stop and they move on. But that causes you to never really accomplish anything, never really learn anything. Stay, exactly where you are instead of like expanding your likes and dislikes. So that's what we do with our kids. We let them struggle through things a little bit. We make them try things first. So I let them try almost everything first, and then we come back and we help or support them when needed. And a lot of times, honestly, when they struggle through it, they figure it out. But that really builds kids resilience, and being resilient as an adult is so important. Like I said, especially with our kids with hearing loss, where they're gonna come up with times that they're probably gonna need to problem solve, either for communication or with devices or whatever else. And we want them to have that resilience and that ability to think through and problem solve through those things. And the third thing that we do, which builds their confidence, is I give them jobs around the house. And that's something that I've really started. I've always kind of done that, but I've really started that in this past year. So I asked them to do jobs in the house because they're capable of doing the jobs. And I believe that they are capable of doing many jobs and helping out in the house. And it also helps focus their attention. So if they are arguing with each other or arguing with me or running around the house, giving them a job, especially my 6-year-old with ADHD, focuses them onto a task and actually like calms them down because they feel useful in the house. And giving kids jobs actually builds their confidence and their self-trust because they know that they can do things. And did you know, here's just like a little fun fact for you. Did you know that often when kids act out at home, they're actually asking you for more responsibility? They actually want you as the parent to expect more from them, which means putting them in charge of a job that they can complete on their own in the house. And it also feels really good to know that someone trusts you with a job and that you can fulfill that job and fulfill that trust. And then that gives you more confidence to want to try other jobs. So, I often fold the clothes, but I have them put away their own clothes in their drawers. They help me fold towels. They definitely clean up their toys and the common areas and their rooms. They even do some vacuuming. My boys love vacuuming and wiping off counters. They can spray and wipe off the counters or spray and wipe off the windows. And this just builds their confidence in themselves that they're capable of doing jobs, that they're capable of starting and finishing a task, and they're capable of doing a task well on their own, which are all foundational things that kids need to be successful adults. So, building confidence and resilience in our kids is so very important. I don't think I can stress that enough. It gives our kids the skills to go for the things that they want as adults. And they're also able to deal with the difficulty that adults face when something inevitably doesn't work out the way you want it to, which is going to happen. So, in the base of all of this building confidence and building resilience is that I give my deaf and hearing kids the same jobs, and I treat my deaf kids like the regular kids that they are. Yes, we give language accommodations, visual accommodations where needed, But I fully believe that all of my kids are capable of learning and growing and capable of doing these things. And I've also just heard over the years many deaf adults speaking at conventions and such, and 100% of the deaf adults tell hearing parents to hold your deaf and hard of hearing kids to high standards, because too often the message to deaf kids is that they can't do something because of a communication barrier or a device barrier. And for my kids, I want to flip that script and tell them that there might be barriers, yes, but they are capable of problem solving through them. And my hope for my kids and my hope for this podcast episode is that you can also now have those tools to start implementing these little tips at home throughout the day to start building that confidence and resilience in your kids now. And I promise it is going to pay off in the future. So I hope this podcast episode was helpful today. And as parents, we want the absolute best for our kids. And unfortunately, kids, and especially kids with hearing loss, do not come with a handbook. But I want you to know simply by being here and listening, you are doing a great job as a parent because you're learning and trying to find better ways to help your child. I am so proud of your efforts, and I'm so glad that you are here. Make sure you tune in on Thursday to the podcast where I share my conversation with author Valerie James Abbott and her two daughters, Mary Claire and Bridie, where we talk all about being a sibling of a hard of hearing adult, an adult with hearing loss. And we talk about all things living with hearing loss in your house, growing up with hearing loss in your house. They are a fantastic, really fun family, and it was such a fun conversation to have with them. But you do not want to miss this episode, so tune in on Thursday. Okay, I'll see you then.